All right, we are live for another edition of Winning Wednesday. Super pumped. This is Sonia and
Hey, Jeannie. Hey,
Genie in a
everyone.
bottle. I don't know why sometimes I think of that song, like Genie in a Bottle, whenever I talk to you. I don't know. Really.
Oh, I get that all the time.
I'm sure I'm not the first, but I'm super, super excited to be here with you. I just love that we get to hang out and do this from home and just talk to people about so many cool things. It's just
Mhm.
a really, really great place to be. So, if you're ever interested, whoever's listening and coming and hanging out with us in the world of business, we love to help other people be able to crush it from home as well too. So, all that to say, welcome to Winning Wednesday. And if you guys are here live, let us know where you are watching from. And if you would drop the time that you are watching, just so we know if we've picked a really good time to go live or if this is a lousy time. And then, of course, if you're catching this on the replay, like I know most people will, go ahead and drop a replay and let us know what platform you're watching from as well so we can be sure to say hi. All right, super excited to get into this conversation today. I'm not sure how this came about, but I think a few weeks ago when we were talking about biohacking, we realized that we literally showed up with a whole bunch of great content, but we didn't go deep enough into any one particular thing. So if you
Mhm.
missed the last week's edition, we talked about how to biohack your skin, your aging skin, especially if you are a woman over 40. So make sure to go back and catch that episode because I thought that one was just like filled with great knowledge, filled with so much stuff. Like we put our research in on that one for sure. So, and today is going to be no different. We're going to talk about some unconventional ways to biohack your way to better sleep. So, I'd love to know from you, anyone that's watching, have you or are you currently struggling with sleep? And if so, what are you doing about it? Because the conventional way is to go to the doctor and say, I'm not sleeping well. And what do? They give you a benzo or they give you some form of a sleeping agent. And if
Mhm.
you're lucky, they might say take a melatonin, but that's all they tell you, right? And so what we want to talk about is legitimately what causes most people to have sleep disturbances and some unconventional things that you may not think about that you can do to biohack your way to a better night's sleep. So, all right, let's get into the really cool conversation. So, Jeannie, tell me what that means in your world. Biohacking better sleep. What does that mean to you?
So biohacking is really a shortcut to things, right? And this is probably the simplest thing because we all know like how to get more sleep. Like you know it, right? You know not to eat certain foods, drink certain things, go to bed at the same time, have a routine, have the cool room. Like everyone knows the basics. This is a little bit more unconventional, as we mentioned, because normal people, don't think about blue light. And it's around us every single day, everywhere we go. If you look at LED lights, that has blue light. A lot more light bulbs are LED at home. You have an LED television, it's emitting about 50% blue light. Like there's constantly blue light like hitting us from every direction. And so for me, biohacking sleep is figuring out like easy, quick things I can do to immediately regulate my melatonin, my circadian rhythm, get me into that sleep mode without having to take the extra supplementations, without having to do anything that's like above and beyond what I'm already doing, with a busy
Mm.
lifestyle. So that's what I like. It's just these are hacks that you could already implement that's pretty simple. And so that's what we're going to dive into today.
Yeah, so interesting. So, I was kind of a guinea pig for this conversation because for those of you that have watched any of my lives, you know that I am still fighting through a battle with toxic mold recovery. And one of the things that it does is it makes all of your hormones go sideways. So things just don't work optimally. So I am very, very in tune with all of that after just experiencing this so recently. And usually I try to do this every 6 months, at least once a year. But right now, every 6 months, went through a Dutch hormone test. And for those of you that don't know, Dutch test is a very detailed test. It is not the go to the doctor, get the little blood draw, and they say, well, everything's fine, or here's what your hormones are right now. But I mean, blood draws for hormones, that's like a snapshot in time. It doesn't really tell you the history of why your hormones went sideways or why you're having XYZ problem, insert whatever symptom that is. It doesn't really give you much information, right? And so the Dutch test actually is very detailed. And one of the things that it looks at is your melatonin levels. And so it was interesting because that's the first time before having a Dutch test, I'd never seen something that actually tests your melatonin. And what I was really pretty blown away to see is just how low my melatonin levels were. And it explained a lot of why I had such disrupted sleep. And, there's so many things that get into the world of sleep, and we could literally spend days talking about this. But as it relates to melatonin, melatonin is another hormone. And when
Mm,
you're exposed to toxic mold, you breathe it through your sinuses. It's the gateway to your brain and your pineal gland and all
mhm,
of this sort of HPA access that regulates a lot of your hormone levels, including melatonin. So when I saw how low it was, I was like, oh, and that was, you guys, that was taking melatonin. I had to stop it
mhm,
for a couple nights before the test, but it just goes to show you that, when the body is not in its optimal state, things can go sideways. So
mhm,
I saw firsthand what that looked like. And so I went down the rabbit trail and I was like, all right, what do I need to do to improve my melatonin levels? Right. So I knew I needed to get out of the toxic mold exposure. So, check box done. But
mhm,
now, how do we recover these things? And so, one of the things that has come across in research is exactly what we're talking about today. And that's this thing with this concept of blue light.
mhm,
Everything is energy efficient, right? So blue lights in, like Jeannie said, in computers, like we're staring at a screen right now,
mhm,
TVs, any electronic device, whether that's an iPad or your phone, anything.
mhm.
The lights in your house, right? So what's the first thing you do when it starts to get dark outside? You flip the light on, right? So we have this issue where we have this lighting going all the time, and therefore it starts to really affect our melatonin levels. So, Jeannie, talk to me about like what happens when the body is exposed to blue light.
So blue light, when it's emitted, it goes through your eyes to the brain to the pineal gland. The pineal gland controls your melatonin, whether it's decreasing it or increasing it. When you have blue light exposure, it then no, decreases your melatonin, right? And so when it decreases your melatonin, what happens is you're not ready for sleep. So it's okay to have that in the morning and through the day. You want to because it allows you to focus, it allows you to have that energy you need to function throughout the day. But as the day progresses, that melatonin levels should slowly be increasing and getting ready for your body to get to sleep. And so what happens is your brain gets confused when you continually, feed blue light into your brain and it's like, well, oh, okay, it's still daylight. It must be, and it like thinks that you're awake still. And here you are, 10 o'clock at night, and you can't sleep.
Mm,
So that's the issue, and so there's a lot of things you can do, even though it's around us. We have control over how much that of the blue light that we're able to take. We can reduce it, we could eliminate it completely if we wanted. So you have control over it. So don't feel like, oh my gosh, it's all around me. I have no control. Definitely, and we're going to talk about that today because I think that's really important is to kind of give you some action steps. And even if you apply one of those action steps, you'll feel a small difference and then slowly just work up from there.
mm, love it. So, how many people, and I think about my mom all these years,
Mm,
and even when I was growing up, she would literally fall asleep to the TV. So the lights would be off in the room and she would turn on the TV, but then she was always waking up in the night
mm.
and we blame it on having to pee, right? But like the reality is you should be able to make it through the night, assuming you don't drink a gallon of water before bed. But, people blame it on all kinds of things. But when you stimulate your brain, number one, and then flash these lights in front of your eyes and then try to go to bed,
Mm.
what happens? You get disturbed sleep. So I
Yeah.
think the TV and then also the phone, right? So the phone is a perfect distraction. What do we all do? We're like in the scroll hole, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And we're in the scroll hole. Let me check my last messages before I go to bed because it can't wait till morning, right? So I've set a rule in my house that no messages, no social media, nothing after 9 o'clock, because
Mhm.
otherwise your brain keeps going. There's more light filtering into your eyes, and it's like this constant state of alertness. And then you try to go to bed, right? And you
Yeah.
might fall asleep. Like I don't have any problem falling asleep, but the interrupted sleep
Mm.
is a big problem for a lot of people. So let's talk
Yeah.
about what you can do to mitigate this issue. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are.
Yeah, and so one of the things you could do, because a lot of people are probably not going to put down their devices even though they know they should. You can if you have an iPhone, like I'm not sure about the other types of phones out there, but if you have an iPhone, you can go to your settings, and if you go to say, actually showing you right now how to do it. There's a filter in here that for blue light. And so you go to your settings, then you go to display and brightness, and then from there, you can select night shift, and you can actually schedule. For me, I have it sunset to sunrise. You can put any schedule you want, but what's fantastic about it is once you set this, it'll automatically do it for you. Whatever
Mhm.
time you set it to, from if you want to do 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., you select it, but then your phone automatically will go into that state of blue light filter so that you're not getting exposed to it at night if you're going to be on your device. You can do it on your iPad as well, probably on your computer. I imagine that it's the same set. If you go to settings, if you have a Mac, I'm not sure about if you have a PC or anything like that, but definitely look it up. You can Google it. But they do have filters on devices. Now, the TV, a lot of us are guilty at watching TV at night. I mean, I'm guilty. What I would say is kind of have that an hour before bed quiet time, and it just kind of watch the TV until a certain time, and then an hour before bed, transition into something that's a little bit more calming. Because this is what we do: we expose ourselves to blue light, and then we turn around and we try to get things to get us to go to sleep, like the supplements or the teas. So it's like we're doing this two oppositions where we're getting really excited and awake, and now we're trying to calm down to go to sleep all at the same time. So I would say, an hour or two before bed, really try to develop that routine that, I know you're aware, and we talk about it all the time, but that's really, really important. I actually had to set a notification on my phone to remind me to have that, because I'm a night owl. I will keep going, and then I'll pay for it tomorrow morning. But if I have that notification that says, okay, it's time to, it's time to wind down, you get it on your phone, you're like, okay, and you put your phone down, and then you transition to something that's more calming. So that's my advice. The other thing too is your lamps. A lot of us have LED light bulbs around the house. Dim it as much as you can. I know that it's impossible to just turn off all your lights, but if you're going to be in one area of the house and you're there like every day, maybe put a red light bulb, and that'll kind of reduce a lot of the blue light that's exposed to you as well. And then lastly, like we tend to also like our lights outside our houses to be lit up. Street lights, the front of the houses, maybe you have landscaping lights. Just remember those all emit blue light. So if they're coming in through your window, even when if you do all the routine and you go to sleep and you have a little bit of light coming through your window, that is definitely going to interrupt your sleep. So think about getting blackout curtains or pointing the lights in a different direction away from your window.
So good. So many tidbits.
Mhm.
And that's all really great information. The other thing that I do in my bedroom is I wear one of these little eye mask things that
Mm.
covers, it literally blocks out all the light. I mean, you can order them on Amazon. Like it's nothing
Mhm.
fancy. It's just
Yeah.
a little mask that covers my eyes and it's like satin. So it keeps the wrinkles off my face too. Because when you sleep on your pillow, what do you get? Crow's feet, right? If you're a
Yes.
side sleeper. So I have a little satin pillowcase and then my little satin mask. So I'm keeping the wrinkles away too, right? Of course, there's the collagen for that, but I digress. We're talking about sleep today. A couple other things that I do in addition, going back to, as I was learning about this hormone called melatonin, it is like, you guys, it is literally a longevity hormone. Most people don't understand it and they think, oh, their extent of understanding of melatonin is I take the melatonin pill at night, right? The melatonin pill that's probably not even digested and absorbed by your body. So therefore, I don't know. It's not expensive, but a lot of people waste money on melatonin. One of
Mhm.
the things that you can do to actually help better regulate your levels of melatonin, so reprogram your body to know when it's time to sleep and wake, is everything that Jeannie said about, the red lights. Like you can literally make your house look like a disco if you put red lights everywhere, right? But think about the times where you spend evening time. And could
Mhm.
I have a lot of friends that are into the biohacking world and they have like red light lamps. So they
Mhm.
will turn off their overhead lights so they don't have to put special light bulbs in the overhead lights, but they'll get, red lights for their lamps. And then they'll just turn on those red light lamps at night so that you
Mhm.
can still, function and see. You're not like sitting in the darkness, right? Especially in the winter because it does get dark early.
Yeah.
But you can also work with the rhythms of the sun.
Mm.
So we are meant to rise with the sun and wind down with the sunset.
Mhm.
Well, we have people working third shift. We have, people working their business at night, like night owls like Jeannie that like they're just getting going at 9 o'clock. So one of the things that I've really worked hard to do is when I get up in the morning, the first thing I do after leaving the bed, because I wake up and I do some rapid eye movements to actually retrain my brain. It's part of my healing journey from mold. And then I do a meditation. So those two things happen before I even get out of bed. But then I venture outside and I'm
Mm.
outside for 2, 3 minutes. It doesn't need to be a long time, especially when it's cold outside. But you face the sun. Do not look directly into the sun, but face the sun so that your body begins to receive those signals that it's awake time. And then you can also do that at the end of the day when the sun is starting to go down and you go outside, you look in that direction again, and you're reprogramming your brain to go, okay, sun is going down now. And so this stuff used to be evident before the world of technology. That's just what people did. Now we have this constant rapid fire of exposure to so many things that it's hard to shut it all off. But retraining your body in alignment with the sun outside is powerful. And even if the sun is not visible that day, even if it's cloudy, you can still do it, right? Because the sun
Yeah.
rays come through. You're just not having that bright sun in your face. So that's one thing I do is sort of working with the sunlight. The other thing that I do, because I do like to watch, we like to watch movies. And for a lot of people, that's family time together is like around the TV. So I get out my crafty little glasses here, and they're much more than blue light blockers. There's a lot of blue light blockers in glasses themselves,
Mhm.
but these actually have an amber light that is an even greater filter than just the stuff that they put in people's glasses. So, and the nice thing about these is I can wear them because I wear contacts, but in the evening I take the contacts out and I put on my glasses. So these will fit
Mm.
over my glasses.
Oh,
So it's like I'm
nice.
wearing two pairs of glasses,
I
but
love it.
it's
Yeah.
a little bit weird and it's a little funky watching the TV
Mm.
because at least when you're first getting used to it and you don't
Mm.
see things quite as vibrant, but you still see everything that's happening. You just kind of have to get used to looking at things in a different lens. So
Mm.
these are really powerful for working on blocking out a lot of that blue light from the devices.
Yeah.
So I really like these little glasses. I got them on Amazon. They were like $25 or something. And hey, aren't they sexy looking?
I
Like,
think they're cool. Yeah.
so that's one of the things that I do in addition to some of the things that you were talking about, Jeannie. Anything else that has really been helpful for you?
Yeah, I really like that you talked about the morning. That's really key because, again, it's about getting your circadian rhythm to function when it should be. Like at the time that you should be awake, you want to be awake. And when it's time to sleep. So it's really important to, make sure you are exposing yourself to sunlight during the day, in the mornings, throughout the day, and making sure that as the day progresses, that you're reducing the blue light exposure as much as you can. Again, these are little tips and tricks. I would say just take what will work for you and see how that goes. You
Mhm.
may you may notice a difference with your sleep. Like, you may have tried magnesium and whatever's out there and nothing worked for you. But if you try this, I probably, well, I can't guarantee, but almost guarantee that you're probably going to go to sleep and fall asleep, because most times it has to do with this.
Well, and the other thing to mention too is that all of this stuff takes time. It's not like, "Oh, I did that for a week
Mhm.
and wow, I have like perfect sleep now," right?
No.
Think about how many years it took you to get to this sort of unsettled state with your
Oh,
sleep.
yeah.
We didn't just get here overnight. There's stressors during the day. There's,
Mhm.
dietary things that factor in there. Are you drinking caffeine too late in the
Mm.
day? I mean, there's
Alcohol. Yeah.
alcohol, right?
Mhm.
There's
Yeah.
so many things. And you can take a million different supplements.
Mhm.
But the problem with a lot of these supplements is that they have to survive the gut.
Yeah.
And let's just call it like it is. Most people's gut health is not optimal right now. It's just the world we're living in with stress, and that's for a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
However, most people don't understand that all of this is related. And when you
Mhm.
do not sleep, everything else is messy. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
you can go to the gym, you can change your diet, you can do all these things, but if you're trying to lose the weight and you're not sleeping, good luck,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Because when your melatonin is off, your melatonin levels are too low. Obviously, we know we have problems, but melatonin being just one hormone,
Mm.
one thing that people don't understand about hormones is they're like dominoes. When one
Mhm.
goes down, they all fall down, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so when your melatonin is essentially out of whack or low, a lot of times you'll also see elevated cortisol levels at night.
Yeah.
So a person is supposed to, like, your cortisol, which is one of your body's stress hormones, is supposed to work like a nice little bell curve, right? It's
Mhm.
supposed to be highest in the morning and then kind of taper off and then start to go down. Well, what happens to a lot of people because we live in this very stressed world is that's almost reverse. We end up with flatline cortisol in the morning and super high off the charts cortisol at night
Mhm.
and low melatonin levels. So that's like the
Yeah.
perfect storm for not being able to sleep.
Yeah, and
So,
reaching all your other health goals.
mhm. So, I mean, these simple things that you can do really can make an enormous difference. One more thing I should mention too is, which really is kind of related to blue light, but not really, your
Mhm.
Wi-Fi. Deal with the Wi-Fi situation. Turn it off, or at least make sure that the Wi-Fi router is not near your bed or even
Mm.
your bedroom at night,
Mhm.
because that in itself can cause problems. And then turn the Wi-Fi off on your phone. Put your phone in airplane mode when you
Mhm.
go to sleep, because like I use a little noisemaker on my phone. Fortunately, it still works when my phone is in airplane mode. So,
Oh, good.
it's really nice to be able to do that, but cutting off, as I say, cutting these loose ends can make all the difference in the world when you're trying to sleep. So
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah.
This
This
was
was good.
great. This
Yeah.
was so good. If you guys are at all struggling with sleep and you found this helpful, we are live in lots of public places. So you can go ahead and definitely share this video, but would love to know from you because I think sharing is caring, right? And we learn
Mhm.
collectively as a community. If there are things that you do for sleep that have made a tremendous impact in your life, drop them in the comments. We'd love to know what you're doing as well. All right. Did we forget anything, or is this a good place to land the plane?
I think this is good right here.
All right. Fantastic. Well, we will see you guys next week for Winning Wednesday, and go get some sleep. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.